So this is the Mazda 2, but this is the new Mazda 2 for this year, although the old Mazda 2, which you can see back there, has not been discontinued. In fact, this one, which you might recognize, is basically a rebadged Yaris. So this is the Mazda 2 Hybrid. That's what they're calling it. It's basically the Yaris version. And then the original one actually continues alongside it. It's not hybrid, that's a full petrol one. So I'm here at a Mazda driver event, and I thought, you know what, let me review the Mazda 2 because I haven't done so before, but also let me do them back to back and let me see how they compare.
A brown car guy. Brown car guy.
This one is the Mazda. I wish they just named them differently actually, because this is very confusing. So this one, the one I've got here today, this is a 1.5 90 PS exclusive line. This is 90 PS, apparently this is their best-selling car. This one's a manual, so it should be fun to try. 1.5 Skyactive. We'll have a quick look around the cars, look at the practicality, and then take them for a little drive to give you a flavor of what they're like. But I can tell you, of course, as the name suggests, it's got about 90 brake horsepower, 0 to 62 miles per hour, 9.8 seconds, and top speed of 114 miles per hour. Combined miles per gallon is 60.1 miles per gallon. So that should be pretty good. Like I said, I'll put the rest of the spec on the screen. The main thing that you might want to know is the price, and this one is 20,365. This one, as tested, is 20,925. The options on it are basically the paintwork. So let's have a look at the boot first. Oh, that's very deep actually. And in fact, I can tell you that it's 255 liters of luggage capacity in here. And if you put those 60/40 folding seats down, you get 887 liters of space. By the way, this car weighs about 1,500 kilograms. So actually slightly less as the curb weight. It's got space under here for basically tire repair kit instead of a space saver or a spare. You do actually have a light, and you have the space saving. Oh, and you got some straps. That's quite nice. So let's see what the rear luggage space is like. Okay, so this is a little bit tight for me. 6'2", long legs. You're on an odd angle, aren't you? There you go, that may be a bit better. But yeah, that's quite tight for me, let's be absolutely honest with you. I don't think I could go very far like that at all. Regular size adults, probably just about get away with it. I think because the seat would be a bit more forward, you'd have a bit more space here, you could probably get away with it. Having said that, the seat themselves are quite comfortable. You don't really have much back here. I mean, you could sort of share this cubby box here. Headroom's all right. What more do you want? Let's get in the front. Here we are. Now, manual gearbox, look at that. That's good, isn't it? Nice little space here. There's, USBs there. There's a 12-volt power supply. What is that? Oh, it's an SD card thing. Oh, that's interesting. Maybe for the sat nav or whatever. Starter button is actually here. It took me a while to find that, actually, embarrassingly. So there you go, clutch down, start it up, there you go. You have got a screen here, and you've got controls for that screen, loading navigation, so it's still doing what it needs to do, so that takes a few moments. You've got cup holders, traditional handbrake, my God, oh, so tempting. Press the home screen, and you've got all of these settings, nav, all the rest of it. Over here, you've got pretty straightforward. There's a 3 thing here. So you've got your fuel here. It's all digital, by the way. So you've got 3 here. Well, it's a digital, but classic digital. You've got your fuel instead of temperature here, speed, and then you've got your revs there. There you go. Otherwise, it's straightforward. You've got controls here, information. There's your cruise control and 2 stalks. All the buttons down here for the mirrors as well, and you've got your climate control all down here. So 6-speed manual gearbox, 6-speed, wow, and a 90 brake horsepower super mini. I like these vents. I like this slash here that matches the outside. That's very nice, very stylish. You've got another little vent there. It's all very nice actually. In terms of space, it's not too bad. Visibility seems to be okay. Out the back, I mean, it's a little bit, those windows are a little bit small on the rear windows from here. I doubt if this thing has, it does have a reversing camera. Whoa, check that out. So that's quite cool. But do you really need one? Look over your shoulder and there it is. Right, let's take it for a drive. Check this out, guys. It's my book. It's my first novel and it's written for car fans like you. It's a fun political action thriller. It's full of cool cars and spectacular action. Get your copy now at Amazon.com. Right then, so let's take this for a little drive. I mean, 90 brake horsepower. Actually, I can move the seat up a little bit, I think. Just a tad. Yeah, that's a bit better. I like a little bit more upright. So that's probably giving a little bit more knee room in the back than I had earlier. So, so maybe a tad improvement. Let's shut the window. Powered windows. I mean, you know, there's not a lot to complain about, really, in terms of, you know, what you've got here. Ooh, I mean, that's pulling in, what, third gear? And it's still managing to pull at, what, 3,000 RPM? 2,500 RPM. 2.5 now. Oh, I touched the, inevitably, or by mistake, I've touched the screen there. But anyway, hey ho, doesn't matter. But this is nice. We're going. It's quite warm in here. Turn the temperature down. That's pretty straightforward. These are quite automatic, so that, oh yeah, straight away we get some cool air in here. So that's pretty straightforward. I like it, you know, when the car is straightforward, you know how it works and all the rest of it. You don't have to think too much about it, especially with a car at this end of the market. You want it to be quite intuitive, which I think this one is. Not too bad in terms of comfort, legroom. Could I do with more legroom? I think maybe just a fraction. Let's go back a little bit. Yeah, that's a little bit better actually. Good brakes instant response. Oh, I keep touching this button here. I don't know if you can see on that screen. This button here for the screen there is quite odd, because every time I sort of put my hand down, because I tend not to be one of those drivers that leave your hand on the gear lever. Good practice. You shouldn't leave your hand on the gear lever because you're stressing out the mechanism, certainly, you know, in the older cars. So I tend to normally do that, put my hand down here, and every time I do that, I keep touching the button for the screen, so that's not good. But good steering, reasonably well weighted, I think. Not too light, not too heavy. Not exactly the sharpest thing, but for a small car, it's about what you would expect. Reasonably responsive. There aren't any modes or anything like that in here, but it seems to be quite a satisfying little car to drive. Performance, I wouldn't describe the performance as inadequate or wanting in any way. Oh, I keep hitting that button, don't I? Oh, you know, this is the thing that Mazda does so well. You know, it's like, this is the base model car, if you like, you know, and Mazda manages to infuse a bit of fun and a bit of excitement into its models, and this car is no different, because you know, you would think that, well, you know, you got this model car, you know, you got shortchanged, but actually when you start to drive it, when you start to work the gearbox and work the car, it's actually good fun.
Calculation.
What calculation? I'm not asking.
Calculation.
So what's happened there is I keep hitting this button, and I've now set a route, which I had no intention of doing. Wow. You can rev this right up to nearly 6,000 RPM and it'll keep going. What are you talking about? I don't want a route. Stop it. How do I stop this now? Cancel. There you go. Cancel. There you got it. Cancel route. Yeah, thank you. Right. Look, there you go. My goodness. Wow, I mean, the gear change is really sweet. It's a bit notchy. I mean, it's not the sweetest of gear changes, but it's quite satisfying in that it's short throw. It's like a switch, really. So, you know, you can really snick through the gears, no problem at all. So in that sense, it's quite good. Can you heel into, oh, I'm not so sure. You could, yeah, with a bit of practice you could. They're quite far apart, the pedals on here. So let's check into this roundabout. Bit of understeer. Yeah, a bit of understeer, but you can control it on the throttle, yeah. so you can just manage the attitude on the throttle, but it does tend to understeer, push on understeer, underpower, which is about what you would expect. But oh my goodness, now that we're moving, 4,000 RPM, the gearbox again, like I said, really snick. The clutch is very light, but nice biting point, works really well, so that's really good. Steering is actually quite responsive now that we're moving. A little bit of wind noise you can get. The ride is actually not bad for a little car like this. It's quite mature in that sense, although you are picking up a lot of the imperfections of the road. Changing it down, keeping it on the power. Yeah, this is actually proving to be quite an entertaining thing, right? And again, the brakes are reassuring. The responsiveness of the steering is quite reassuring. Not bad at all, actually. You know what? I wouldn't be unhappy with this car. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you think, oh, yeah, I've got the Mazda 2. You're like, oh, yeah, but when you got a nice bit of road and you get to, and this is the thing about these small cars, right? You really get to work them. You get to go, okay, well, I'm not actually going that quicker. I'm not actually going that quick, even in terms of when you're pushing it. You're not doing a huge amount of speed, but the ratio of enjoyment to speed is much higher in something like this. I've done it again. I like to, engine sounds really good, right up to 6,000 RPM, no problem at all. It likes it. And you know what, it really settles down well. It's not roly-poly, it's actually quite straight. It's quite level. It's handling the road really well. This is actually a really well tuned car. It's a really well fettled car. It really is. I can't really fault the car, honestly. I think that, if you need a small car for around town that's not bad value at all, that's fairly economical, that's not got a huge amount of power, and yet when you get out onto some B roads like this, you can still really have a bit of fun with it, then definitely check out the Mazda 2. Check it out. Hey, are you enjoying this video? Then make sure you hit the like button. It's very important. Plus, comment, share, and make sure you're subscribing. And this is, I know what you're thinking. This is a Toyota Yaris, right? Essentially it is. This is actually a rebadged Toyota Yaris, but this is the Mazda 2 Hybrid. That's what they're calling it, the Mazda 2 Hybrid. So let's call that the Mazda 2, and this one is the Toyota Mazda 2. Anyway, Mazda 2 Hybrid, 116 PS, Homura, this one. I will show you around the car, although, we have driven the Yaris before, but let's have a look around the car. Let's look at the practicality. Let's look at the drive. I will tell you it's got a 1.5 litre hybrid petrol engine. As you can imagine, it's got 116 brake horsepower, which you can ascertain from the name, 120 Newton meters of torque. It'll do 0 to 62 miles per hour in 9.7 seconds and a top speed of 109 miles per hour. It will do 67.3 miles per gallon, which is fantastic. And CO2 emissions are less than 100, so they're 97 grams per kilometer. And the price of this is 27,280, and this one, as tested, well, actually it's only got the I think there's some color options to it. It's 27,865, so about 27,000 pounds. So let's check out the boot first. You can see Mazda 2 Hybrid. And yeah, pretty deep boot, pretty spacious, and you got the 60/40 split folding seats. So with the seats up, you get 286 liters of space in here, and then if you put the seats down, you get 935 liters of space in here. What have you got here? You've got a hook there, you've got a light there, and you have under the floor, you have a compartment with tire repair kit, etc. Cool. Let's see what the rear space is like. Okay. Yeah, it's going to be cozy. Dare I say, I think there was a little bit, fraction more room in the Mazda 2, in the parallel universe Mazda 2 version. But it's pretty tight. It was tight in that one, it's tight in this one. Actually, there's less headroom. There's definitely less headroom in this. The headroom in that one was not a problem. But otherwise, the seating upholstery is much nicer in this. It's all material, of course, but that's a really nice texture there. Seat pockets, you've got this, and that's pretty much all you've got back here. But yeah, I mean, for me, at 6'2" long legs with this seat set, for me, it's a little bit tight. Maybe for 4 regular adults, probably you could get around normal journeys around town and stuff like that. Shouldn't be a problem. Right. Important thing is, what's it like in the front? Oh wow, I am now. Oh, okay, it locked itself. Why did it do that? There's a lever there. For some reason, I must have turned that when I closed the door. How did I do that? Anyway, I can get out. The nightmare would have been if it was a child lock. Oh. Here we go. We are now in the front of the Mazda2 Hybrid. You can see me, can't you? Yes. So I found this very confusing because the hybrid, is it on or is it not on? If you press the starter button, nothing happens. If you press the brake, it comes to life. So press the brake and then the starter button, then it comes to life. The key is obviously already in here, it's down there. So there you see it's come to life. It's got Mazda, it says Mazda on there and everything like that. I wonder if that, I wonder if the OS here is more Toyota than it is Mazda. I can't actually recall what it's like in the Toyota, so I can't tell you that for sure. But if you have a Toyota, let me know if this is the same one in your Yaris or if this is unique to this car. So you've got a tray there, glove box there, which is quite small actually. Your climate control there, this is so much nicer than in the Mazda 2. Then you've got USB-C there. I think you actually have, yeah, you have a wireless charging plate as well, so that's quite handy. And this is an entirely digital, and it's a full color digital, unlike the Mazda 2, and it's got an entirely digital, full color digital display there. Cruise control and your normal stereo control buttons there. Your lights, window switches, locks, and the mirrors. This is an automatic, of course it's a hybrid, so it has to be a CVT probably, I should imagine, but it's got drive modes on this. What does that do? Power, Eco, and normal. That's what you got here. And then you've got EV mode unavailable because the battery's too low. So here on this side, actually that's just the temperature, that's the fuel. Where's the battery? So you can see the charge there. So you can't see the battery indicator. Maybe if you go into vehicle here, you might, if you go into energy flow, yeah, you can see there. So you can see like it's half, less than half there. So that's what's happening there. And I'm sure that when it's driving, that, in fact, we'll leave it on that mode. I don't know if you'll be able to see it from that screen, but we'll leave it on that because then that shows you what it's doing. Okay, so there you go. There's all the information about the car. It's got nice, look at that, nice design. I mean, the Yaris is a good looking car, let's be honest. It's a great car. It's very nicely done. It's very nicely resolved. And, it's got a Mazda badge on it now, but, I shouldn't really detract from it. Let's take it for a drive. Shout out time, guys. Thank you so much. Hey, if you enjoy my content, why not get involved? Buy me a coffee. You can do that at either of these links. Or if you're watching on YouTube, buy me a thanks or take out a membership. It all helps. It really does. Right, so let's unleash the 115, oh, it's got a quite raughty sound, doesn't it? The 150, 160 horsepower that it's got. Let's unleash it. Let's see how we do. Now you get the CVT thing, where you get that droniness that you get with the gearbox. So, the CVTs are so much better than when I first reviewed them years and years ago. But there's still this kind of distinctive droniness that you get out of them. But so far so good. Let me see. Oh, okay, it won't go up. All right, I could have done with a bit more. Maybe I can reduce the height of the seat, perhaps. Yeah, I could sit a bit lower. I could probably move that forward a bit more. Too much. So, that's too much. Again, no, that's too much. So that's so I can't. No, so that's interesting. I can't get the exact position. So I'm either too upright or too laid back. I'll stick with too upright. I like upright. So here we are. It's all very familiar. It's all very solid. It's all very, as you'd expect. And the steering is a little bit lighter on this one than the Mazda 2. But no less responsive. Yeah, it's similarly sharp enough. Yeah, it does respond. Yeah, definitely. The ride is very good. There's a little bit more road roar, maybe because of the tires, perhaps. A little bit more road noise on this, but I guess less wind noise, actually, it feels like. So, Again, a comparison to the Mazda 2, that's what I'm calling it. But other than that, I mean, you know, this is pretty much as you'd expect it to be. Full power. There we go. Full power. Lot of engine noise, lot of kind of raughty engine noise. And here we go. No problem at all there. Not the most exciting of acceleration, but it's like, yep, it's accelerating. You know, you've got that sort of thing going on. Visibility all around is pretty good. The mirrors are quite large on this actually. And at the back, okay, there's a little bit of a pillar box aspect to that rear window, especially with those big headrests in place, but it's not so bad. For parking and stuff, you do have reversing camera, so that's not really an issue either. Headroom here is pretty good, not an issue up front. Elbow room, leg room, absolutely fine. Got loads of room in this. Very comfortable, very spacious here in the front. Very practical as well, quite handy with these cubby boxes and all these spaces and everything. So that's quite useful. So I wonder how the vehicle is doing in terms of the energy flow. Battery's charged up a little bit now. Still won't go into EV mode because I'm probably going too quickly here. But for around town, although yeah, you're getting. Oh, actually, now that I'm coasting, low power. Yeah, low power. It's running off battery. You lift off, it starts to charge. So that's what it does. No paddle shifts or anything like that in this one. The mode. Let's go into power mode. There we go. Power. So you got some corners. So that was normal mode. I mean, it's just absolutely, it's just settled, you know, really absolutely settled, you know, not an issue at all, even through these quite quick sweepers that we're going through now. And very settled, very stable. Just as you'd expect, actually. Very competent, very good. I feel like the steering could be a little sharper. Because obviously, like, I mean, I'm recalling from the GI Yaris, I know that's pretty sharp. So this is obviously a bit more accessible. Picking up a bit of speed now, and yeah, you're getting some good response. Very flat, you know. Again, you know, unlike these smaller cars from the bygone era where they would be roly-poly, leaning all around a little bit, you know, tall suspension, skinny wheels. But you know, the cars, both the Mazda 2 and the Mazda Toyota 2 are very, very flat and very stable. You know, you only get a slight bit of body movement, but it gives you a lot of confidence, you know, to sweep along these B roads without any issue whatsoever at fair speed. Good brakes, responsive, tight, reassuring. Let's give it full power around the roundabout, and we get. Actually, you know, it's not as much understeer. Again, a good response on the throttle. It does tuck in a bit, but not the sort of understeer that I was expecting, actually. So there is understeer, obviously, but it's quite well contained. So it's not too bad at all. It's kind of confusing. I just saw another one of these coming the other way. And, you know, your mind says Yaris, and then you see the nose and you see the Mazda badge and you go, no. So yeah, it just messes with your mind when you see it out on the road. But then, you know, we get a lot of these now. I mean, there's a lot of cross collaborations going on, joint ventures going on. All of these things are happening. They're happening kind of because they have to happen, you know. It's one of these things where the industry needs to consolidate for it to be viable and for it to make sense financially in terms of the things that it has to do, the changes that it has to make, the drivetrains that it has to come up with. I mean, it makes sense that if you want a hybrid, you go to Toyota. I mean, you know, Toyota. They're the makers of the Prius. Good response though. I mean, even like, you know, mid-throttle, put your foot down and it picks up, you know, it picks up its skirts and off it goes, you know. It's quite happy to do that. Oh, I do like the raughtiness of this little motor, huh? It does like to make its presence known, that's for sure. But yeah, it's just very good through the corners as well. You know, it's one of those cars that, you know, around town, this is your perfect companion. You know, it's thrifty, it's compact, it's practical, it makes perfect sense. But when you get out onto roads like this, then you're not necessarily missing out. You know, you're still going to enjoy it. Having said that, maybe because it's the manual, Maybe because I feel the steering is a little bit sharper. But in terms of this sort of driving, I'm going to give it to the Mazda 2. I still think there's a bit more of an engaging quality to that car, despite its lower power, despite all of it, you know, the shortcomings that you might, or perceived shortcomings that you might say against this one, in terms of this has got the more modern, sophisticated engine. But even I don't know if that's even fair to say, but anyway, but you know what I mean. That's supposed to be the older Mazda 2. This is supposed to be the newer Mazda 2. But I have to say, if you gave me a choice, maybe not around town. Around town, I'd probably go for this one. Around town, I'd probably go for this one because it's just got the more relaxing drivetrain, the gearbox, and all the rest of it. Just makes more sense. But if you gave me a choice of like when we're coming out onto these roads or a longer drive, and I knew that there was going to be some B roads and stuff involved, I'd take the Mazda 2. So there you go. Very little in it though, and really it'll come down to price, preference, and economy, and of course lower emissions. Hope you enjoyed this review, and I'll catch you all in the next one. I wanted to tell you about this. It's my first novel, The Ulez Files. It's all about cars. It's for you guys. Get your copy now at Amazon.com.